Why, there they are, both baked in this pie. Titus Andronicus, 1591 to 1592. Dramatis Personae. Titus Andronicus, celebrated military hero of Rome, conqueror of the Goths, father of 25 sons and one daughter. Tamora, queen of the Goths, later married to Saturninus, mother of Alarbus, Chiron, and Demetrius. Saturninus, emperor of Rome and husband of Tamora. Aaron, a Moor in Tamora's service, also Tamora's lover and a self-professed villain. Demetrius and Chiron, malevolent sons of Tamora. Lavinia, Titus's only daughter betrothed to Bassianus. Bassianus, Saturninus' younger brother and the husband of Lavinia. Marcus Andronicus, Titus's brother. Lucius, one of Titus's sons, later banished from Rome. Marcius and Quintus, Titus's sons, later framed for Bassianus' murder. Mutius, one of Titus's sons, accidentally killed by Titus. Young Lucius, Lucius's son. Publius, son of Marcus Andronicus. Sempronius, Caius, and Valentine, relatives of the Andronicus family. Aemilius, a Roman noble who acts as a herald and a messenger. Saturninus and Bassianus quarrel over who should become emperor of Rome. Marcus tells them that the hero, Titus Andronicus, is also a candidate, but Titus uses his influence with the people to name Saturninus emperor. Saturninus offers to marry Titus's daughter Lavinia as reward, but Bassianus insists that he is betrothed to marry her. Saturninus is angry and decides to marry Tamora instead. She makes peace between the new emperor and Titus, but secretly vows to take revenge upon the whole family. The weddings of Saturninus and Tamora and Lavinia and Bassianus are celebrated with a hunt. Aaron finds Chiron and Demetrius arguing over their love for Lavinia and tells them to use the occasion of the hunt to rape Lavinia and murder Bassianus. He plots to pin the crime on Titus's sons Marcius and Quintus. Chiron and Demetrius kill Bassianus and throw his body into a pit. They rape Lavinia. Aaron leads Marcius and Quintus to the pit into which they fall. Saturninus discovers his brother's body and has Quintus and Marcius arrested. Titus' son Lucius reveals that he has been banished and sees the mutilated Lavinia. Aaron tells Marcius that he, Marcius, or Lucius will cut off his hand and send it to the emperor. His son's lives will be spared. Titus sends his own hand, which is returned to him, with the heads of Marcius and Quintus. Lavinia writes the names of her attackers in the sand. Marcus, Titus, young Lucius, and Lavinia swear an oath of vengeance. The nurse brings Aaron an infant, his child with Tamora, and tells him that because the child is black, Tamora wishes it killed. Aaron plots to swap it for a white infant and to have the latter's parents bring up his child. When news arrives that Lucius is returning with Goth troops, Tamora promises to persuade Titus to call off the attack. In disguise as revenge, with Demetrius and Chiron as murder and rape, she visits Titus, whom she thinks does not recognize them. She asks him to invite Lucius to a banquet, while she will bring Saturninus and the Empress. Tamora leaves her sons with Titus, who kills them. Titus, dressed as a cook, presides over the banquet as his house. He kills Lavinia in front of his guests, saying that she had been raped by Chiron and Demetrius, both of whom had been baked in the pie the guests had been eating. He stabs Tamora, and Saturninus kills Titus. Lucia then kills Saturninus. Marcus and Lucius tell the Roman people what happened, and Lucius is named emperor. Aaron is sentenced to death. Saturninus, Titus, and Lavinia are interred in their family tombs, but Tamora is denied any funeral rites. In context: revenge, fatherhood, motherhood, lust, and madness. Setting: late imperial Rome. Sources: no direct sources are known, but Shakespeare may have drawn on the following. The year 8. Ovid's Metamorphoses. A copy of the poem is used on stage in the play. 1st century CE. Thyestes, a gory revenge story by Roman playwright Seneca. 13th century. Gesta Romanorum, an anonymous collection of fictionalized Roman legends and myths. Legacy. 1594. The first recorded performance is in January at the Rose Theatre in London. The play appears in print in February of that year. 1850s. American actor Ira Aldridge plays Aaron in a heavily adapted version. It is the only 19th century revival. 1923. The unexpurgated version of the play staged at the Old Victoria in London for the first time in 250 years. 1987. Deborah Warner's uncut production for the Royal Shakespeare Company brings out the full horror of the play. 1999. American director Julia Taymor casts Anthony Hopkins as Titus in a film adaptation of the play. Titus Andronicus is perhaps best known for its extreme violence. It features at least 5 stabbings, 2 throat slittings, and 1 hand amputation, and this is the only violence that happens on stage. It doesn't include the rape and mutilation of Lavinia. The play was probably written in collaboration with George Peele, who is thought to be responsible mainly for the first act. It was undoubtedly influenced by theatrical fashion and may have recalled Pete's The Battle of Alcazar, written 1591, in which severed heads appear in a banquet, or the hand-chopping scene in Salimas, circa 1592, by Robert Greene and Thomas Lodge. The play's violence has been called gratuitous, to the extent that critics used to deny that Shakespeare could have written it. However, the violence has deeper political and cultural meanings. Escalating violence. Perhaps most horrifying is the moment when Tamara realizes that she has consumed the flesh of her own children. But cannibalism is an idea that resonates throughout the play. One of the challenges of revenge tragedy is how to exceed the initial crime. Titus's main act of revenge against Tamara for destroying his family will be murder. Why should he also require that she devour her sons? One explanation is his need to punish her sexual appetite by turning it into a kind of monstrous feeding. Bid that strumpet to your unhallowed dam, like to the earth swallow her own increase. Act 5, Scene 2, lines 190 through 191. But the play is also pervaded by a kind of maternal dread, where the mother is an all-consuming figure against whom the male child must struggle to define himself. This fear emerges in some unlikely places. For example, the pit into which Marcius and Quintus fall, with dead Bassianus at the bottom, is hailed, "What subtle hole is this? Whose mouth is covered with root-growing briars, upon whose leaves are drops of new shed blood? A very fatal place, it seems to me." Act 2, Scene 3, lines 198 to 200 and 202. In this way, the play anticipates the literal feeding that the female mouth will perform at the end. A nobler man, a braver warrior, lives not this day within the city walls. Marcus Andronicus, Act 1, Scene 1. Roman values. A mother figure is absent among the Andronici clan. The mother of Titus's 26 children is dead, and there is no mention of a wife for Lucius. Nevertheless, disturbing parallels emerge between father and mother, Roman and Goth, which complicate the roles of both Titus and Tamora. Titus is buried 20 sons before the play begins, all killed in wars, and his first action in the play is to place a coffin in the family tomb. In the original staging, the trapdoor would probably have been used to signify the tomb and also the pit in Act 2, thereby creating a sinister likeness between these spaces. At the start of the play, we discover that Titus is surnamed Pius. This was a title associated with Aeneas, one of the founders of Rome. It signified the best Roman values of honor, piety, and familial loyalty. "Hark, villains, I will grind your bones to dust, and with your blood and it I'll make a paste. And of the paste a coffin I will rear, and make 2 pasties of your shameful heads." Titus Andronicus, Act 5, Scene 2. By contrast, Tamora is described as all that is un-Roman, promiscuous, treacherous, and bestial. And yet Titus himself shapes what Tamora becomes by making her firstborn son, Alarbus, a sacrifice. Tamora's accusation, "O cruel, irreligious piety," Act 1, Scene 1, line 130, is hard to argue with. Titus and Tamora are both driven to violence through their sense of shame. Titus kills his son Mucius in a rage at being defied in front of the emperor. Tamora vows revenge against Andronicus for making a queen kneel to him. Both characters represent a challenge to the core Roman values Titus is supposed to embody, implying that there are dangerous tensions between them, not least between personal honor and family loyalty. Rome itself fulfills its reputation for ingratitude when it banishes one of Titus's sons, condemns 2 others to death, ignoring his pleas for mercy. By making Tamora devour her sons, Titus could be seen as forcing her to act like the ungrateful city. But although Tamora's body may be cast beyond the walls at the end, the anxieties and tension she represents will remain at the very heart of Rome. Aaron. Aaron is an early villain in Shakespeare, the forefather of Don John and Much Ado About Nothing and Iago and Othello. The monstrous glee shows that his own villainy links him to the comic vice of the medieval mortality play, but he has become a much more troubling figure in modern times because of the connection that he makes between his evil and his ethnicity. In particular, his wish to have a soul black like his face, Act 3, Scene 1, line 204, might seem to justify long-held associations of blackness with devil worship, treachery, and lust. The ease with which Aaron assimilates himself into Rome suggests that he can convincingly assume Roman values. He can read Latin texts better than Chiron and Demetrius, and he is more paternal than Titus. But he remains a difficult figure for modern productions. Julie Taymor's 1999 film Titus was accused by critics of simply updating its racial stereotypes by identifying Aaron with a contemporary, super cool hipster sexual athlete and nihilistic gangster.